As you can see, I'm joined by Lee Dixon, Vice Chairman and the driving force behind this year's Summer Festival of Football. We're here to catch up ahead of this big kick-off this Friday. Lee, I'll get straight to the point. Out of the way first. How's everything gone in the lead up to this year's festival?
Back in February, March, when we were sort of putting everything together, I thought we were on top of everything like you always do, and you think it's like swimming along nicely. And then the last 2, 3, 4 weeks has been, as usual, just an absolute nightmare, with obviously trying to get teams itineraries in, what their preferred choices are for training when we've only obviously using between a couple of facilities. Everyone wants to train at the same times, getting their meal plans in, what they want to eat at what time of days. It's difficult, it's hard, and you know what, it'll never be any different, Dean. The reality of the situation is, when you're organising a tournament like this, obviously everyone has their own needs and everyone does things differently, so you've got to try and bend and mould around everyone's individual requests as much as you can. You can't always keep everyone happy, but we've tried, and I think we've got to a good place where all the teams coming now are comfortable with everything they ask for, and I think we've got to a good point.
You've mentioned that obviously there's been a few challenges there along the way. So what really have been the biggest ones, and how have you overcome them as the organiser from this side?
Hotels are massive. Obviously we bring the teams here and they get a certain amount of places for free. We cover that to bring the teams here, which is what the attraction is of them coming. But when you need so many twin rooms in a hotel, and you go to somewhere, for instance, like the Commerce, who are really, really accommodating and helpful, we've had their whole hotel, what they had left in January, February when I first started talking to them, we've had every room frozen, and it was still nowhere near enough than what we needed. And up until 3 weeks ago, I still didn't have enough bedrooms for the amount of people that are travelling with Fleetwood and Altrincham that are staying there. The Palace take Ratcliffe Borough. Again, they're fantastic to deal with. We've been good down there. We got exactly what we needed down there, and we've had them held for a while. So that, on that side of things with Ratcliffe, it's been relatively easy. But up at the Commerce, up until 3 weeks ago, we didn't have enough rooms, and then they managed to get 8 or 9 rooms back in. I think that were held by other providers, come back in, and it literally the exact amount of bedrooms we needed. And so I was able to ring the clubs and tell them that we had exactly what was needed, and we weren't going to have to put directors and things into separate hotels, which isn't professional, and it's not what we wanted to do, but we were faced with not having any choice. So that was one of the problems we've overcome recently, and it's obviously puts a lot of stress and tension on you.
Another big part of this festival is the sponsors. It can't happen without them. We know that. So getting something like this together is obviously they're the big part of it. How's their support been this year, and who have we got on board?
It's obviously, as you say, you've alluded to there, it's massive, and the one thing we have been better at this year, I think, is that exactly that, communicating with sponsors and the hotels I've just mentioned. I think this is the second year, and we learned so much last year about logistics. So when it's come around this year to dealing with sponsors, we've been able to speak to our big sponsors quite a way out. So obviously the Steam Packet, who bring the teams here for us, and all their staff and things, they bring them in there. One of the main sponsors, and the other joint main sponsor is FRP, who are our main kit sponsors on our home kit, who've been brilliant as well. And the third sponsor is IFGL again. They're our community sponsor. They're magnificent to deal with, as the other two are. And without the three of them, things like this just wouldn't happen. Rick from Hope and Glory has supported us as well. He likes having a vested interest in it, so he gives us great support. Helps us financially, but also Rick puts in things like the man of the match trophies and the pendants we hang out and things like that, so, and the kits that all the staff will wear around the grounds across the game. So all in all, been brilliant. As we grow it and as it gets bigger and bigger, hopefully in the years to come, we're going to need more sponsors or bigger amounts of money, and hopefully this is just an opportunity for us to prove to them that we can add value to what they're paying for and invest in their money in.
So you've already mentioned we've got one returning team in Ratcliffe Borough, but also a couple of new names to the lineup this year in Altrincham from the National League and Fleetwood from League 2. How did those come about?
Well, I'll start with the obvious one. It's obviously Altrincham, and that was really straightforward. I spoke to Lawrence Looney's kids train up where my son does on a Friday night, and I was speaking to Lawrence, and sort of from the minute I started planning it around January time, I just said to him, would you be interested in coming? And I told him what was on offer, what we do, what we offer, and he come back literally within, I think it was a couple of days, and said they were definitely interested and they wanted to get involved. So that was altering them through our connections with Lawrence. Obviously, what we didn't know at the time was how that story was going to pan out, and we were going to end up stood here today with Lawrence as an actual board member for FC Alaman, which is, as we spoke about in the past interview, is magnificent. But we've just continued that connection with the people within their club to get it set up, and again, they've been great to deal with. And then obviously you go on to the big one, is Fleetwood Town, obviously the Football League team. It's a really bizarre story. So the owners of Fleetwood own a team called Waterford in Ireland, in the League of Ireland, and they were flying over for a Friday night game, which is when they play all the games, and they were flying over in a private jet, and they actually got a phone signal on their phones over the top of the Isle of Man, and someone said, why have we got a phone signal? And they said, oh, we're over the Isle of Man, blah, blah, blah. They got a discussion going about how they have a festival in the summer. And the owner of Fleetwood was on the plane and said, why don't we contact them and see could we go? It'd be brilliant with the historical links with the ferry and what have you. And they rang me the next morning, and I think it was about 9:20, and by 1 o'clock that day we had an agreement in place and they were coming. It was literally that simple and that bizarre. They just did, telephone signal, and that was it. And then thereafter, once I had it pinned down, I've had conversations with Oldham, Wigan Athletic. There's been other teams that have sort of contacted me to make their interest known for next season already. So again, it goes back to the first one last year. It just shows that it pricked people's interest, and I'm sure this year's will only do that again, and it will just hopefully increase the calibre of teams we can bring here. But also about building relationships. Ratcliffe have come back this year. They were a dream to deal with last year, an absolute dream, and they were first down on the list. They'd made it clear last year they were definitely wanting to come back and committed to it. And so because of our relationship and how good they were to deal with, it was important that we gave them a chance to come back again, I felt.
So what can you tell us and the fans really about the format of the festival and what to expect really from it?
So as you'll know, last year's didn't have a winner or a loser or any places really. The way it ended up getting played out because of a last minute hitch with one of the teams, we didn't want to play a team that was in their league, which was not foreseen, unfortunately. We didn't have winners and losers, and obviously a lot of the fans commented on that and said, there should have been a trophy for a winner. So obviously this year we've got a format that works whereby we've got 4 teams. It's almost like 2 semi-finals on a Friday. The 2 winners will then play on the Sunday, and the 2 losers will play for third and fourth place playoffs. So there will be a winner this year. Hopefully that makes it a little bit more competitive, but also the format has left us with a free day. And I felt, discussing it with the teams and discussing it within our club with our board members, we felt it was important to have that free day because it gives the clubs an opportunity maybe to have Q&As with their fans, or go and do something to mix and mingle with their fans, or give their players time together on the island to see what the island has to offer outside of sport, team bonding, maybe a night out, a meal, so much. It sort of adds so much, that free day, for everyone, from the fans to the players to the committee and staff members that come over with us, and it also gives our volunteers a day off as well in between the games, which we never had last year. It was all a little bit hectic, and that's one of the main things we learnt, that going to this format for now hopefully is going to be a lot better and give everyone that little bit of downtime, and it also opens up opportunities for the teams coming to have a little bit more training and time with the players. So most of them are arriving on Thursday. They'll train Thursday. Some of the teams are training Friday morning, some aren't, and then everyone's training Saturday, and then play Sunday, go home Sunday night. So hopefully this is a slightly tweaked format that'll make it more competitive, but also more appealing to the teams coming, that they actually get a day off for their teams to go, their players to go and play golf or mingle with fans and just integrate really and see what our island has to offer.
So from the club's point of view, and also more on a personal level as well, because you've invested a lot of time in this personally, what are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to when it kicks off on Friday, the first game, and then obviously our game that night is just to sit back and watch the football. Because ultimately that is what it's all about. Yes, the other stuff's great, but when I set out setting up and you're looking at teams and games, and that is the focus. Obviously we've got to provide a pre-season for Paul, and since I've been dealing with that, I've always tried to get the best teams here that we can to challenge the players and help them in the pre-season. We've just had a fantastic game at the weekend against Brackley Town. We had a game on Friday night for the squad players against NFA from Wales, and this is obviously a step up again, being able to play Fleetwood, the first real professional team, for I think it's getting on for 25 years since the last one that was here in the old festival, is a massive I think it's a massive thing for the club really. I think it's a massive stride forward, groundbreaking, and hopefully next year we'll maybe have more professional teams here and more professional teams wanting to come. That'll bring even more people to the island. So all in all, when all said and done, I just feel that sitting down on Friday when that first ball's kicked, it's going to be a huge relief for me. And then I just hope everything we've put in place logistically with the help of Paul Quayle and Andy and Russ and the team around us, hopefully that it all just goes off well and everyone leaves the Isle of Man saying what a well organised thing it was, how competitive the games were, how entertaining for the fans, hopefully. Hopefully my stress can sort of dissipate a little bit come Friday at 3 o'clock.
So finally, for anyone who might have seen or read about the festival, online, but they've not gone and bought a ticket yet, what would you say to them?
Get down, because ultimately we've got a professional football team in Fleetwood Town, we've got a full-time team in Altrincham, we've got a great team in Ratcliffe coming to the Isle of Man to play football against our local lads, and these are the things as the football community have cried out for. Everyone goes on about, as you know, Dean, that the football festival isn't here and what a shame it is, and this is us trying to start and build it. So by coming down and supporting it, it helps us financially, it'll help us hopefully continue it next year and carry on building and growing on what we started last year. And hopefully we're sat here in 4 or 5 years time and we have a festival that's full of high-end professional teams coming here to a fantastic tournament that the fans get to enjoy high-level football on our island, that ultimately what is the primary facility on the island, and everyone wins from it, and everyone in the Isle of Man, the hospitality industry, tourism, hopefully everyone benefits from it. But we need the people to get bums on seats, and all I can say is if you come down, I'm certain you won't be disappointed in what you see.
Okay, Lee, cheers for your time tonight, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you next week after the festival's all done, and we'll do a little recap over it, mate. All right?
Cheers, Dean.
Cheers.